All right, fellas, we're going to talk about Virginia Tech defense in this one. And as you all know, our defense is predicated on the 4 C's: communication, containment, contact, and clearing. In this, we're going to talk about the X's and O's of what we're doing there, but it's really important that we are keeping those 4 C's front and center in everything that we do. So let's hop into a couple things we want to be good at on defense, and then we'll talk about the actual different side packages. As we think about defense, here's a couple of keys to success. The first is working together. Obviously, in order for defense to work, it's kind of like a machine, right? If one part fails, then the whole thing fails. But the good news is that when working together, it can perform at a high level and be very, very successful. So working together is super important. Number two, constant communication. No, everyone's heard this their whole life. Defense is all about talk, right? I used to tell my guys who are getting recruited, to be seen, you must first be heard. It's the same thing here on defense. To be seen, you must first be heard, right? To be successful, you must first be heard. The third one is physicality. You know, I'm a big believer that we have to demand the space that we own. When we create containment, when we create contact, we need to be physical. We need to not allow people into the paint, so to speak, without suffering the physical contact that goes along with that. And great defenses are all physical in lacrosse. And the last and most important is trust. Trusting the guy behind you, making sure that when you do get beat, you get beat on the correct side, so that you can trust your teammates to fill the void. The slide can come. All 4 of these have a trust component, but trust is the key to success, right? If you do the other 3 but don't have trust, you'll fail. If you have trust and maybe miss 1 or 2 of the other 3, you might still be successful. So trusting each other is paramount to success. So these are kind of the 4 keys, right? In addition to our 4 C's. So let's look at some schematics here. When it comes to defense, we're going to have essentially 4 roles that are going to be filled. 2 guys are going to, generally speaking, stay home. This is a little bit different in adjacent slide packages, but in our crease slide packages, which will be our primary defense, we have these 4 roles. The first is the hot guy. The second is the 2 slide. The third is the split. And the fourth is the on-ball defender. And he'll be the recovery guy, which I'll add here, on the ball and then recover. And he's going to peel what's called one away. So we'll go over some schemes here covering these 4 roles. And then we'll also talk about how we do this. We're going to have 2 slide packages. One will be our standard slide package from last year, just our crease slide. Our second will be what we're going to call AC Slater, which is our adjacent is the 1, the crease is the 2. And then we'll go over our adjacent sliding. So let's look through these here in the next couple of slides. All right, we're going to go with our castle defense here, which is just our crease sliding defense. I'm just going to talk about how we defend this against a 2-3-1. So first off, we'll have the ball up in the top right. Seems to be a place a lot of people initiate. Okay, and we're going to play good defense, so we're going to assume that he is coming down the alley, okay, because we don't let him get into the middle. Let's talk about the different roles here. So 5 is going to stay locked on his man. So I'm going to circle them because they are not part of the 4-man rotation, and it just makes more sense for him to be able to shut off that front side adjacent in this situation. In this slide package, we could do a different slide package where he was either the first slide or help, but this is just in this one. So the hot guy is going to be number 4, so he's the hot. Okay. The 2 is going to be number 3. He's the 2. And then 2 is going to be the split. Okay. And what 2 wants to do is cover this lane from here and here so that we can't pass from this midi to this attackman, so that 3 can be in, 4 can be ready to slide, and we're good to go. When 1 recovers, where does he recover? Recovers from 1 away. So he's going to U-turn and end up recovering over to 2's man, right? 4 will have picked up this guy, 3 will have picked up this guy, and 2 will bump out to cover this attackman. That is our castle defense against a 2-3-1. Let's look at it against another set. Okay, here's our castle defense against a 30 set. You know, our favorite set to face because we see it all the time in practice. And this one's a little bit more challenging, requires a little more communication, a little bit more effort. Okay. Again, we're going to keep him down the alley. So one's guy is dodging. All right. And what's going to happen here is one's the on-ball defender, 4 is clearly the hot defender, right? And 3 has to come all the way in to be the 2. This is a long distance for them. Okay. And so the only way this can work is as 3 gets in here to be the 2, right? 2 has to be in this passing lane here so that it requires a long arching pass like that. So that if they were to do that, 3 would be able to get back to his man prior to the dodge happening. It does have a little bit of potential problem if they do a good job of getting that pass and then they're dodging an approach. But we've shown in practice we can do this. So this is how we want to slide. We want to keep 5 and 6 to stay home. That way we don't give up any backdoor cuts. We don't allow them to make a down pass very easily, and we're in good position to play defense. So in doing this, right, so 4 is the hot guy, okay, and he's going to end up going here, right? So he goes, okay. 3's in as a 2, 2's a split, so as 1 gets beat, he's going to U-turn and recover to 2's man. 2 can then bump out to 3's man. And we're all set. We're all in good shape. Obviously, 6 here or 5, depending on where they end up, can help in this general vicinity. I'll draw a circle in yellow here. They can help in this sort of area where there any interior threats are, but this prevents them from having to be responsible for a man inside. Okay, let's look at it against a 1-4-1. All right, now we're going to talk about our castle defense from the wing and what we want to do here to be most successful in covering this. The dodge from the top is similar to the previous slide, so I'm just going to leave that one out and go over this instead. So again, easy stuff, right? 4 is the hot, right? Okay, oops, move the thing. So 4 is the hot, okay? He's going to go. 6 is going to press out to his man or kind of stay in to cover a passing lane, but he's not sliding. 5 is a natural to cover the close guy, so he can go like this. And he is what would be considered the 2. And then 2 here is going to end up being our split, right? Because he can just kind of fade down and he can sort of match the dodger to this guy, right? Or if, let's say this guy cuts back door, you know, he cuts down like this, you know, 5 can stay with him and 2 can fill the ball side high guy. But either way, 2 can be the one to help, and he can split the difference between the pass up top because he'll still be able to recover to it. Whereas it's a little bit tougher for 1 to do that. So if that's the case, then 1 stays out, right? 2 is a split. Oh, it's in red, but that's okay. And then what that means is 4, after 3 gets beat, right, he's going to U-turn back, and he's going to cover 2's man, right? He might end up coming inside here and bumping 2 back out. That's going to depend on spacing and communication. But either way, we're going to bump back towards the middle and cover that guy. Now we're going to go over our AC defense, which is specifically using the same sets, so you can see how it functions similarly, and also when it should not be used, because one of these sets, it's not a great slide package to use necessarily. It could be, but it's a little more challenging. So we'll look at it in 2-3-1 here first. So again, you know, we're assuming we play good defense, right, and we're going to force them down the alley. Like so. Now what we're going to do is, instead of our crease slide being hot, the A adjacent means this guy's going to be hot. So 1's going to run him right into it, hard slide right to the face, right? The tough part about this is obviously sliding to the face, so that means our slide timing has to be even more proficient. 4 needs to be ready to go and going at the same time 5 is going, because he's going to be the 2, right? The C, so it's adjacent crease, okay? And just like in the previous one, we're going to go ahead and have 2 be the split, right? So he can split and he can be ready to cover the crease He can also cover the passing lane, all of that stuff. And so he is in here as the split. Now, again, 1 is going to have the same process of recovery. 5 comes here, right? 1's going to U-turn and come back to cover 2's guy 1 away. Keeping the same rotation defensively that we had in a prior one, but our slides are a little different. So this is the AC defense against a 2-3-1. All right, here we are in the 30 set against the AC defense. And, again, this one's a little bit interesting, right? Because the slide distance between 1 and 5, assuming that this midi here is to make the dodge down the alley where the arrow is. The distance between 1 and 5 is significant, right? So it seems like it's not a great idea for 5 to slide, but it can be. It just depends on how teams are playing in the 30 set. There's a couple of teams that love to show and kind of sit down on the pipe here in the 30 set, and they do not slide from the crease, and some slide from the crease. It just depends. So what we would do here in this situation, right, is as the midi's coming down, 5's gonna let me get the right thing here. 5's gonna hedge in a bit like so, right? So he's kind of covering the passing lane to directly to X. He's covering the inside. If 1 tries to come in, he's got it, no problem. Right. And again, he's going to probably slide a little bit later in this situation because it's a little different than every other. So he's got to get a feel for the threat as a shooter and assessing the on-ball defense of number 1. But if he ends up going, he can end up going, and his slide should probably end up being a little flatter like that, denying the inside and taking away and then forcing them down outside. 4 will obviously can step down like this, no problem, to cover that attackman. And then, this one is easy, right? For 2 just immediately drops in. He kind of mirrors the Dodger. As the Dodger gets deeper, he can cover this. Okay. And again, our recovery, right? So 1's coming down here playing defense. He gets slid to, he's going to return, cover 1 away, right? 2's already bumped in, 4's already bumped down. We're good. 6 can help in this situation. You kind of slough in, right? 3 can help by sloughing in because they're not really threats over there, but they can stay true to their guy. And this is AC Slater or AC defense versus a 30 set. And a little Saved by the Bell reference for you in this one. All right, here we're going to talk about AC defense versus a 1-4-1. In reality, this is not likely we're going to use this much, but we might use it if someone loves kind of these big up top dodges. There's not really a slide. The AC defense is challenging when you're dodging from the wings, and presents some potential issues when dodging from X. If we have our timing dialed, it might not, but regardless, right now we're just going to focus on learning. We'll learn it from up top and from X here in this, so we know what we're doing. And then if we're on the wings, we'll stay in our base defense castle. Okay, so again, 1's forcing to one side, right? 2 can kind of slough in and hedge, and then slide as he goes. 3 is a natural slide right there. 4 is natural slide right there, right? And then, excuse me. And then because of the nature of a 1-4-1, right, 5's going to slough in. He's probably not going to necessarily go all the way. It sort of depends on how things shake out. Again, 1's with his man, and then he's going to turn and recover 1 away. And 5's probably going to direct him into this inside guy, and 5 will bump back out to the midi. But that's going to depend on game flow and kind of how things are rolling. But this is a slide package when dodging from up top. Now, when dodging from down low, it's kind of the same idea, right? It's just reversed. The only thing with the dodge from down low is we have to be very, very aware of our sliding, because if we slide to what we call the offensive player's eyes, then what ends up happening is that they can see the field really well, and it makes it easy for them to be successful. So if 6 is on ball here, let me erase him, put him actually on ball. Okay, so 6 is on ball here, and let's just say that, The attackman's a righty, so he goes up this side. Okay. 5's going to be our 1 slide. 4's our 2, right? 2. Oops. And 3 is our split, or fill, or whatever. Excuse me, not fill. It's split. And 1 is going to be, and 2 have to help on this backside guy right here, like this. More so 2 than 1, because if 1 gets caught too far over, his guy can show. Okay, so he wants to make sure he's sort of covering that thing, that lane, if that's what his guy does. But if that guy's kind of hanging out, then he can help down. And then we slide like that. We've got to be very aware on this backside, because we are susceptible to some feeds on the interior if our sliding is too early or too late. So timing is everything on this. Again, I don't anticipate us using AC defense a lot from dodges out of a 1-4-1, but I wanted to show it so we knew what was going on there. The other key with this defense is, particularly in some of these slides like this, is showing but not going until we absolutely have to. Awesome. That's our AC defense. Let's look over adjacent sliding. Okay, this is our adjacent slides. We will call this Ajax after the soccer team or the cleaner, depending on what you want to go with there. So this one's kind of straightforward, right? It's going to be the same no matter where we dodge from. We're always sliding adjacents. In this situation, we have 3 is our hot right, and 1 is our hot left, right? Which means that makes 4 our 2 and 6 our 2, depending on which way they go. Once we dodge here, so let's just assume we have a big lefty. He comes down this way, right? And we're going to, in our slide package, once that goes, 3's going to bump, right? 4 here is going to bump up to 3's guy. 5's got to bump over, right? 6 going to bump down. 1 bumps down. 2 is going to, well, he's going to be here, and then he's going to recover 1 away. Okay. Now, these first slides on this front side have to be very crisp and smart, right? These backside slides need to read the defense, right? So, or read the offense. They need to understand how they're moving and what they're doing. If they just go right away, it would make it too easy for this midi here to just cut right behind that, and he's probably wide open on one of these passes. So more importantly, what they need to do is initially they need to get inside. So let me erase some of this because it's a mess right now. They're going to need to get inside and do, protect the paint, right? That's what we essentially want them doing. So the way that works is you get into, put your right foot or your left foot, depending on which side of the field you're on, inside the circle of what would be kind of quote unquote considered the paint, right? So if I were to draw the paint here, let's just draw this, the paint is going to be roughly around like this. Okay. And so what's going to happen is as, 2's on ball right here, right? And as 3 is sliding and 4 is sliding, 1 is hedging in hard, 6 is hedging in hard, right? They're still kind of covering their space. They can help on their next slide if they need to, right? 5 should already be in front here because the ball's up top. And it allows us to be successful in sort of protecting the interior and still being able to get our slide action done. So this is adjacent sliding. It's pretty straightforward, but it's still important to go over. All right, that kind of covers 3 slide packages from our defense. It covers our base defense, which is our castle defense. It covers our secondary defense, which is AC, adjacent crease sliding. It covers our third defense when someone runs an open set of a Ajax. This is kind of the base of what we're doing. Obviously, there's going to be nuances to everything we do, but these are the base schematics. again, the most important things are we follow those 4 C's: communication, contact, containment, and clearing. Our focus on trust and physicality is of vital importance. And, Virginia Tech defense has been for a long time and will be for a long time the backbone of our team. So we have got to make sure that our defense is dialed, that we are controlling the tempo of the game, that we are setting the tone for how the game is going to be played, and that starts on the defensive end. So if you have questions, obviously reach out to myself or Coach Hogan. But thanks for watching.